Hello and welcome back to the Zul'jin Distillery Invitational League. I am the Crushinator and I will be your caster for this evening for this matchup between Church of Murky and I Must Feed. Our lobby is just about ready. Alright, just made sure we didn't accidentally go into a redraft here. Alright, looks like they're ready to go, so let me take you over to the map screen real quick. Praxis Holdout, Alterac Pass, Towers of Doom, and Sky Temple are banned for this matchup, as well as some secret shadow bans on Haunted Mines and Hanamura, but you didn't hear it from me. Unofficial bans on those two. Church of Murky has taken us to Infernal Shrines for game number 1. Let's get into that draft now, where I Must Feed is opening things up with the Garrosh ban. Garrosh just... He's kind of top tier right now. It's the tank situation I feel like is still not quite figured out. Mei is definitely kind of up there, but possibly awaiting some nerfs. Johanna is still up there, but not really feeling that great since the Iron Skin nerf. So it's, we're a little unsure with tanks right now. We're still going to be taking some off the board here. Johanna banned away by Church of Murky, followed by the Cassia ban here from I Must Feed. Makes sense. Cassia's still very strong, even post-nerf. She's kind of an all-around hero right now. She's kind of got the sustain, she's got the burst, she's got the mitigation, she can step up, she can stay back. There's just, there's no real reason to avoid a Cassia if you can get your hands on her. ETC is going to be banned away by Church of Murky. So, first pick going over to I Must Feed, Infernal Shrines. May see something like a Kael'thas here. We may see something like a Tassadar here. It is going to be Orphea coming out from Listerfiend. Orphea, another top tier mage right now. Not too surprising to see Orphea in the mix. With the next two picks here, Church of Murky. I'm expecting a Tassadar, though it may not come through. With a lot of tanks already banned away, they may want to pick up their tank in this rotation. It will be the Diablo coming out from J-Show, and Orion is going to grab the Greymane. Pretty solid pairing there. Greymane going to be able to do a lot of work in that pit, a lot of work diving on top of Orphea if the opportunity presents itself. It also takes the tool of Cursed Bullet away from the enemy team, which is going to really shred a Diablo. Speaking of shredding a Diablo, Sudden Bear's picking up the Imperious, and Night Knight is going to grab Anduin. Anduin, with that Leap of Faith, going to be very strong in saving anyone that Diablo wants to charge into. And of course, Imperious, just a mighty, mighty offlaner right now. Still not the greatest in the wave clear department, which could possibly be countered here on Infernal Shrines, but when it comes to an offlaner joining the team fight, there's really none better right now. Mal'Ganis going to be banned away by Church of Murky, continuing the tank choke. And Deckard Cain will be banned away by I Must Feed to get rid of that Stay a While Apocalypse combo. I'm wondering if possibly Church of Murky may consider a double tank strategy with so many of them already banned out. They could do something like pick up a Mei and go for a super heavy front line, pair it with a high damage assassin like a Tassadar. I'd be interested in seeing something like that. We'll see what they want to break out here. It is going to be the Tassadar for Redbeard. Zago's going to pick up the Sonya to verse that Imperious. Sonya will have a better time in the wave clear department. Still does bring some damage to those team fights. Not quite the utility that Imperious brings, but Zago will be a monster on the camps around the map. That's for sure. John Goodman and Rekt picking the last two spots here for I Must Feed. Excuse me. It is going to be Blaze and Arthas. Arthas, a well-known counter to a Greymane dive, and also with Diablo taking auto-attack builds now, slowing those down is going to be a very nice pickup here for I Must Feed. As I forget how to type. Bagully with the last pick here. They do need a healer. Ana still available. Malfurion still available. It is going to be Malfurion here for Bagully. Going to be very helpful in capturing folks who are already caught by Diablo or helping Diablo catch up to some people. So, the table is set. We've got some pretty high-powered compositions here. A little bit more of a catch composition coming in from I Must Feed. We'll see if they can stop the onslaught from Church of Murky. It's game number 1 here on Infernal Shrines. Let's get into it. Alright. As my cats fight behind me. Boys, why are you fighting? Stop fighting. There's only one way to stop them. Gotta get yourself one of these. Stop fighting. Stop it. Both of you. Can't be fighting. This is Heroes of the Storm. There's only fighting going on right in front of us. So we're loading in here. 2 Infernal Shrines. Getting ready to go. I'm really interested to see how this Imperious Blaze Arthas lines up. We've got a very, very heavy front line, and Orphea does bring the damage in the back, but they could be... there's going to be some interesting sources of damage, I'll put it that way. We don't have that traditional sustain assassin. Instead, we've got some high damage front lines in Blaze, Imperious, and Arthas. Very cool comp coming out here from I Must Feed. Still loading in here. In fact, let's go take a look at the loading screen just so you remember. Son, look at these comps along with me here. We've got, I mean, I take a look at I Must Feed's comp, and there is theoretically enough damage. But 3 of those members to deal sustain have to be on top of their target, which I think is where I'm finding it a little bit... I feel like the burden of execution is on I Must Feed here. They have to engage with that Imperious Blaze and get on top of their kill target, because they don't have that Rainer, they don't have that Greymane, or the Tassadar, or anyone to consistently hit targets at range. So that's where I'm a little bit worried about their comp, but if they do catch someone, they're gonna pay, 100%. So we'll see if Church of Murky can respond to that. So we just need one more person. Just need one more person to come in here, man. We're loading in. There we go. There we go. All right. Game number 1 here. Church of Murky. Oh, Sonia, you back? I think you're back. On the left in the blue is Church of Murky, as we may end up pausing this game. Orion was going to be playing that Greymane, Bagully on the Malfurion, J-Show on the Diablo, Redbeard on the Tassadar, and Zago is back on the Sonya. On the right in the red is I Must Feed. It's going to be wrecked on the Arthas. Night Knight playing Anduin, John Goodman on the Imperious, Sudden Bears playing the Blaze, and Lister Fiend on the Orphea. Here we go. Game number 1 is underway. Both teams going to be fighting for vision here in the mid lane. It looks like Sudden Bears has control over the top vent. Zago still having a little bit of trouble here.
A hero has left the battle.
I know Church of Murky is waiting for one more player. Zago is coming in as a sub, which may be a little bit of an unstable connection here. We'll see whether they want to soldier on through or if they want to go for that pause. It looks like the wave clear is on the side of I Must Feed to start, and we are going to have that pause as we try to get Zago back in the game. Go back in, so let's rejoin the action as the rotations continue.
Welcome back.
I Must Feed Get back into the bottom lane. Jay Show, a little bit of trouble here. Caught by Rekt and John Goodman, taking Diablo down to about half health, as Redbeard, with those big damage flanks on the Tassadar, will force IMF back. Looks like Blaze is already starting with a little bit of double soak. Sonya in the top lane looking to catch up. A huge advance onto Tassadar, and Redbeard will be first blood. Ryan working on that back camp. Jay-Show is going to have to use the minion to retreat. A very nice shadow charge coming out from Diablo. John Goodman sees the camp being worked on by Church of Murky, and with Tassadar dead, they will engage and steal this very first camp of the game. Very nicely done by I Must Feed. Currently, Sonya and Blaze dancing between top and mid. Orion could be in trouble here. Another very aggressive rotation from I Must Feed. But it looks like the damage was not quite there. Orion will squeeze on out of there, as I Must Feed wants to move on to this neutral camp. They are ahead in these rotations and ahead in XP, so this is a great little move here from IMF. We'll see if Church of Murky sees it coming. Nope, even if they knew it was there, they're not going to go ahead and take it. They're going to try to catch up on XP. Bottom camp picked up by I Must Feed. Blaze and Zago dancing around a little bit here. Looks like Zago had to retreat a little bit on that double rotation, as Church of Murky is going to have to clear up this big wave in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, I Must Feed is going to grab the Khazra camp of their own. Checking in on this top lane matchup, but it looks like Blaze going a little bit low on mana here. This is something that Sonya is not going to have to worry about in this double soak matchup. Sudden Bears is actually being advanced on by 4 here. No engage by Jay-Show, but looks like a possible engage here by I Must Feed. A nice route is going to save Church of Murky for now. Very aggressive rotations here from I Must Feed are keeping Church of Murky on their toes. And this superior wave clear means that they can move with impunity through this middle section. Mortar Shrine will be coming up in the bottom lane in about 10 seconds here, as we see I Must Feed is going to grab the Shaman camp on their side of the map, while Zago on that Sonya starts it for Church of Murky. Redbeard here coming up for the assist. Orion gonna put a little bit of damage into John Goodman, but Gully isn't a little bit caught out here in the mid lane. Oh, staying in the bush. But Gully does manage to escape. Ooh, very dangerous there. But it is 5v5 coming into this mid shrine. I Must Feed does take the initiative, will control until Zago gets here. Sonya still invisible in that top bush. Zago going in here. Looks like the engage is happening. Stuns from Jay-Show and Blaze. Zago in a bunch of trouble here. Will go down first. 5v4 for I Must Feed. Orion is stuck in the back there. Greymane doing as much as they can, but will go down. That's 2 kills for I Must Feed. Redbeard could be next. Oh, a great stun there by Jay-Show. John Goodman taking a lot of extra damage from that shock ray. Wrecked is flipped by Jay-Show, but without Greymane on the field, not enough damage to take down that Arthas. Mortar Punisher picked up easily here by I Must Feed along with level 7. So this is going to be a bit of a tough defense. Sonya is still dealing with that Shaman camp in the top lane, while the rest of Church of Murky is going to have to focus on this clear. They do bait it over the wall, so they do have some free clear time. Punisher down to about 30% health here as the wall on this fort falls. Redbeard could be in some trouble here, stunned by the Punisher. Jay-Show with a great peel there on Diablo is going to save Tassadar for now. Orion going right in onto Listerfiend. And a pretty good defense there, considering, from Church of Murky. Down a level, down a hero. Putting up a pretty good defense there in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, Blaze did go respond to the Sonya in the top lane. Church of Murky are going to grab their Khazra camp while they have the chance, while I Must Feed did go back for mana. Jay-Show trying to pick up this rotation, still about a level behind here. If we take a look at the XP, the extra hero kills for I Must Feed doing a lot of work. The minions still pretty even here, so Church of Murky done a good job of picking up that minion XP and getting back in the game here, as Jay-Show taking a lot of damage here, stunned out by Sudden Bears. Diablo could be in a lot of trouble here, though. That extra spell armor, looks like Jay-Show will manage to get away. That Soul Shield on 1 paying off versus this Orpheus solo backline of I Must Feed. Sego and Sudden Bears continuing their push in the top lane. Blaze at full health. The wave clear is just so strong. Sonya is having to react to that while Church of Murky is rotating around. I Must Feed is on their Khazar camp. They're going to pick that up and rotate to the mid lane. We'll see if they go for it or if they're just going to watch. Looks like they will just watch Church of Murky stroll on by. Blaze actually in the bottom lane right now. This could spell trouble for Zago, as we see 3 collapsing into the mid here. Night Knight going for the root. Oh, but Zago on that motorcycle with the double juke does manage to get away. A very timely escape there from the Church of Murky solo laner. Level 10 is here already for I Must Feed, but it's about to get here as well for Church of Murky. And there it is. The top Arcane Shrine will be coming up soon. They want to get as much work done in this top lane as possible to open up the space here. Zago and crew are going right onto I Must Feed. Blaze is stuck in the mid. We have a 5v4 for now. Orphea is a little bit stuck in the top. If they can stop that escape, there is the wall from Tassadar, but not quite enough. It looks like I Must Feed will manage to get on out of there. Very nice disengage on that 4v5 situation for I Must Feed. Ooh, a nice stun onto Redbeard, but a great cleanse from Bagully. But Tassadar going the wrong way there. Ends up getting rooted and taken out by Lister Fiend. Went for the bottom juke, but ultimately just not enough space to work with, and Tassadar goes down as this shrine is coming up. Church of Murky rotating to the top lane, hoping to save this fort before I Must Feed turns their attention to the shrine. A great stun there by Jaysho, but a fantastic pull from Anduin will save Imperius for now. Tassadar is back on the field, but the shrine is up. Looks like I Must Feed will tap and start the destruction of these Hell minions. Blaze going to be doing a lot of work with that AoE damage. Zago right in the front line, stunned out. There's the cleanse, but a follow-up root. Zago in a lot of trouble, but a huge amount of regeneration. Sonya staying alive for a long time. Sonya traded out for Anduin here. We've got a 4v4. Another stun from Imperius is going to catch one. Greymane going down in the front line as Rekt is keeping the slow onto Diablo, preventing that escape. A nice route there onto Diablo. Once again, John Goodman trying to get around the side. Sudden Bears with a huge stun. Bagully and Redbeard are doing a lot of damage in the backline, though. They're focusing a lot onto this high skill armor Diablo. Diablo finally going down here, as well as Tassadar. Rekt is taken out by the auto attack from Malfurion, and some great focus fire under that fort. But ultimately, it was I Must Feed coming out ahead in that rotation. Very drawn out, though, as we see almost all the members except for Tassadar are back on the field. Oh, and it looks like we've got another disconnect from our Sonya player, and we're going to have another pause here. Hopefully, we get Zago back soon. Take the opportunity. Have a little more water. Looks like Zago's back. Get back into this. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. I Must Feed. Currently controlling this shrine. Zago thinking about going in here. 26-2 on these minions. Church of Murky without 2 of their members here. Zago going straight in. A nice curse bullet onto Sudden Bear. Sudden Bears doesn't have an escape here. Oh, is going to wiggle out. Jaysho still blocking the escape for a jet propulsion. Looks like Sudden Bears will get out of there. A huge light bomb, though, countering the Sonya. There's the first kill. Jaysho very, very low. So again, using that shadow charge very artfully on the minion to get away, but the rest of his team may not be so lucky. But Gully and Redbeard stuck in the back. That's Malfurion, that's Tassadar, and that is another triple kill for I Must Feed. Arcane Punisher going to be pushing down the top lane. We've now got a 2-level lead opened up here for I Must Feed. They'll be taking out this fort already weakened up from the earlier push. And without level 13s here, this is going to be another tough defense for Church of Murky. This keep could be in danger. Sonya is heading off to Split Soak. Is going to grab that Khazar camp in the bottom lane, try to get Church of Murky back in this game XP-wise. Another nice bait over the wall. It looks like this Punisher will be melted down by Orion. Great job on that Greymane. Surprisingly, it looks like I Must Feed won't even get the opportunity to finish this wall because of that excessive burn damage from Greymane. Very nicely done. I Must Feed is going to rotate around to the middle lane. They're going to have to clear up this Khazra camp. Sonya trying to sneak a camp in the bottom lane. This could be trouble, though. Jaysho flipping wrecked around. That's a fantastic cursed bullet. The Anduin uses the Leap of Faith and the Light Bomb to counter-engage. That's Greymane going down. Jaysho could be next. A double kill here again for I Must Feed. While Sonya is off trying to get as much macro pressure as possible, get them back in the XP game. Oh, the end of the jet propulsion catches Redbeard, but Blaze is being focused down by the fort. Tassidar's down. Oh, and a great bunker. It's going to turn that fort aggro off. Sudden Bears, with an artful use of that bunker, saving themselves. Mid fort is down. Sonya getting out of trouble there after taking that neutral Khazra camp. And it looks like I Must Feed wants to get this final fort. They're going to charge right in. Very low here. Not so worried about the tower aggro. Tower going down. Meanwhile, Church of Murky just working around the map, trying to get these lanes evened out as much as possible. Zago very aggressively moving towards the enemy shaman camp. Will I Must Feed catch this? I'm not sure. They may not get here in time. Sonya's damage is not particularly fast. It looks like they're going to stick to this Khazra camp on the bottom. Sonya may have time to do this. A very, very aggressive call from our Sonya player. Zago does manage to pick it up. A nice steal there by Church of Murky. Though the pathing may not be so lucky, Jaysho trying to draw the attention of I Must Feed. It looks like Sonya's on a bit of an island here. Sonya pops the ult, but goes down, trading the life for that camp. There's the Unstoppable from Diablo, gonna roast Night Knight a little bit. A nicely timed stun by John Goodman catches Jaysho. That spell shield doing a lot of work again for Diablo, looking to get away. I can't believe... Oh, Diablo is gonna be so close. Oh, but that burst damage from Imperius is gonna finish off Jaysho. Double Shaman camp pushing down the top lane here, proxying that wave. This is going to be a lot of damage onto this top fort. I don't know if I Must Feed is going to have the clear to get rid of this. With no minions coming up here for another couple seconds, this is going to be close. But the rest of I Must Feed is pushing straight onto this front keep wall. Blaze actually will manage to clear that wave before the fort falls. Very impressive. Zago once again very aggressively moving on to Arthas, trying to ward away I Must Feed. Let me take a look at that fort. Whew. So close, so close. Next shrine, Frozen Punisher coming up in the mid lane. Once again, I Must Feed is right on top of it. Quickly taking out those first 9 minions. Church of Murky with Diablo and Sonya in the bottom lane working on level 16. All they can really do is poke in here, but they won't have long to do it. Orion making good use of the space, making sure to not get caught by that Imperius. Level 16 is here. 26 minions to 3, and there goes Zago. Zago is in once again. Jaysho getting some damage onto Sudden Bears along with that Cursed Bullet. There is the Lightning Breath. Unstoppable Diablo in the mix, but the Crushing Jaws catches 2. Diablo is first to fall. Sonya going down as well. Somehow John Goodman still alive. Greymane goes down for a 3rd. Tassadar down for 4. But Gully is being chased down by Rekt. A nice route there. Looks like I Must Feed's not so interested in the chase. Maybe Rekt can do it themselves. Using that Remorseless Winter. There's the route from Anduin. That's a full team wipe for I Must Feed. We've got the Frozen Punisher pushing down this mid lane. A 3-level lead. This could be it. John Goodman and crew, Lister Fiend working on that mid-fort wall. Very healthy Punisher, going to be pushing down this mid-keep. Still 5 seconds till Diablo is back. Still 20 seconds till Bagully on that Malfurion is back on the field. This keep is toast, and this Punisher is going to be going towards the core right after it finishes off that well, because it knows the value of the macro. There's a big stun onto Jaysho, the Light Bomb follow-up, and Diablo is down. Zago will be next. There goes Orion. A huge hit onto Redbeard. That's 3 down, and this core will be melting. 75%. There it goes. I Must Feed with a decisive Game 1 victory here on Infernal Shrines. GG. Bit of a tough start there for Church of Murky, having some connection issues with one of their players. That's always tough to see. They tried their best to soldier on through, but ultimately I Must Feed with the 24 kills to 2 in the very decisive win here on Infernal Shrines. We saw that triple frontline doing some work, especially with those high damage frontliners in Imperious, Blaze, and Arthas. A lot of extra follow-up CC to let Orphea land that nearly 50,000 damage, and it was very effective damage indeed. Redbeard on the Tassadar bringing in the damage as well. Actually, almost 68,000 damage. Very nicely done from Redbeard, but ultimately it was I Must Feed with victory number 1. Alrighty. Champagne Superna. I'm gonna call you Champ. Champ, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. We're gonna go to the break as our team's set up here for game number 2. Do not go far. I'll be back soon. Alright, loading up in here for game number 2. I Must Feed took game number 1 here versus Church of Murky on Infernal Shrines. And looks like we're getting ready for Dragonshire here in game number 2. Zago will be stepping out for Shock in this second game for Church of Murky. Zago was having a bit of a couple of connection issues, so we're going to have a sub swap in here. These teams are rearing and ready to go, so I'll very quickly remind you of the map situation. Praxis Holdout, Alterac Pass, Towers of Doom, and Sky Temple were banned away for this series. I Must Feed picking up the win on Infernal Shrines in game number 1, and now I Must Feed is bringing us to Dragonshire for game number 2. Let's get into it. Alright, Dragonshire. Not one I get to cast a lot. I'm usually in divisions C through E when I'm doing NGS, so not a lot of Dragonshire picks, so I'm excited to be able to cast this one. Church of Murky is going to ban away Johanna once again, and Yrel actually being banned away by I Must Feed. Yrel is a very strong solo laner here on Dragonshire for the dueling potential, the wave clear, and specifically the ability to jump over that little wall in the top lane. Rexar can kind of jump over that wall in that he's in 2 places at once. So the traditional 2 best solo laners here on Dragonshire, both banned away, along with the Cassia, of course. What this means is there's a lot of tanks open. Garrosh is open. Ooh. Orphea's open. Ah, Tassadar's open. Oh, a lot of possibilities here. ETC is going to be picked up by Shock. Still a top tier tank. He got that face melt nerf. Still doing pretty good. Still doing pretty good. Is ETC not a bad first pick at all? We'll see what I Must Feed wants to pick up in response. Assassins for Church of Murky last game were the Greymane and Tassadar. They're going to go ahead and grab that Garrosh now that it's open, and Listerfiend is going to be playing Kael'thas. Imperious stolen away here by J-Show. Nice pickup there for sure. Take away that extra strong laner. Orion will be back on the Greymane. Great at ganking rotations, great at going and soloing those camps in the sort of mid to bottom area on Dragonshire. There's not a lot of situations where I'd be unhappy to have a Greymane on my side. Let me put it that way. Solid, solid pickup. Deckard once again banned away by I Must Feed. Bagully. I wouldn't be surprised to see another Malfurion coming out here from Bagully. To be honest, got some good follow-up from ETC and Imperious, keeping them rooted, keeping Garrosh away. Makes a lot of sense to me. It actually is going to be a Stukov ban from Church of Murky. So far with Kael'thas and Garrosh, there's definitely a lot of holding them still, so it makes sense that they do not want the Stukov. That's a nice pickup by Night Knight to snag that Anduin again. That is a good counter to Garrosh specifically. As Garrosh wants to throw and stun, then you just use Anduin to cancel that. So a nice pickup there by I Must Feed for sure, and John Goodman will be on the Tychus. Tychus does well into ETC specifically, because ETC Doesn't have a lot of health to begin with, so even though the percent damage isn't doing a ton, just shredding through that tank. Very, very good. As I trip over my words again. Bogoli is going to grab Ana this time, and Redbeard will move to the Jaina. Wondering if we're going to have a triple DPS, because Tassadar's open. And Tychus is kind of a secret solo laner. What will Sudden Bears pick up here? It's actually going to be Uther. Uther. So they're definitely looking to get some picks with this Garrosh throw, Kael'thas stun, Uther stun. They want to be rotating aggressively, which they did very, very well in game number 1, so they want to capitalize on that for sure. But Ana is going to be able to deny a lot of that with some sleep darts. So, we'll see how this goes. Game number 2 onto Dragonshire, Church of Murky versus I Must Feed. Let's get into it here. Alrighty. Loading on into Dragonshire. We've got kind of a forward engage blow-up comp versus a backward engage blow-up comp. So it'll be interesting to see which one of them tends to strike first here on Dragonshire. Interesting to see. I'm very interested to see what these teams will do on Dragonshire, because you can set up in kind of a 1-3-1 rotation. You can set up in kind of a rotating gank, a 1-1-4 situation. See what they do. But on the left, in the blue, is Church of Murky. It's going to be J-Show playing the Imperious. Shock is on ETC. Orion on the Greymane. Bagully playing Ana. And Redbeard on the Jaina. On the right in the red, we have I Must Feed with Lister Fiend playing that Kael'thas. Sudden Bears will be on Uther. Night Knight on the Anduin. Wrecked will be playing Garrosh. And John Goodman on the Tychus. Here we go. Dragonshire, game number 2. I Must Feed looking for a quick 2-0 victory here in this matchup. Trying to control this mid-vision. Wrecked. Looking for any throw opportunity. Shock is trying to bait it in. There's the stun, getting an extra stack there on the Warbreaker quest. Wave clear going to be very important here for our two teams. Redbeard definitely having it on lock. Oh, we got a missed spear here by J-Show, looking for an engage onto that Imperious. There's the throw, there's the follow-up stun, and there's the kill. Imperious is the first to fall. Very nicely done there by I Must Feed. It looks like Uther will actually be heading up to the top lane. Night Knight, ooh, they're looking for Redbeard on that rotation. Not quite finding the Frost Mage. Church of Murky getting out of there scot-free. Greymane currently going up against Uther in that top lane. A little bit of extra damage until Imperious gets there. I Must Feed working on this siege camp while Church of Murky still working on clearing that lane. This could be tough here. I Must Feed will have this done significantly faster. See if they go for another invade like they did in game number 1, or if they're content to move around the mid. Shock sliding on out of there. Ooh, with the follow-up stun by Garrosh. Shock does their job, warding away I Must Feed to let the rest of Church of Murky finish up that siege camp. Imperious and Uther will be dueling away in the top lane here, both not really known for their mana efficiency, so they may end up just whacking each other with empty mana bars by the end of that exchange. Looks like Ana and Greymane from Church of Murky are working on this mid camp, or this top camp I should say, to help push this out. There it is, the hard camp. Bruiser camp is going to be pushing away in the top lane. That will definitely be a big boon for Church of Murky, as Uther's wave clear is definitely nothing to write home about. Though in this bottom lane, looks like Shock looking for an engage onto the rest of I Must Feed. 7 stacks on that quest for Wrecked. Need 8 more to finish up the Warbreaker. Another experience lead opened up here by I Must Feed, getting about 600 extra experience from the minion waves here. Though making it up in Mercenaries so far is Church of Murky. Tychus is actually moving up to the top lane. Could be a little bit of trouble here for J-Show. Is going to have to use the Impale to get on out of there. John Goodman can be helping clear up this lane as Sudden Bears was lacking the damage and lacking the mana to do much about it. Wreck does manage to get the throw onto Greymane. A nice follow-up stun by Listerfiend. Shock going straight in there. They want Listerfiend. There's the face melt, but a great grab by Night Knight will get Listerfiend on out of there. But they will concede this point over to Church of Murky. Tychus still in the top lane. Imperius looking to possibly pick up this Dragon Knight. I don't know if anyone's going to be here in time to stop this. Oh, ETC going straight in there. Oh, and Tychus actually interrupting the channel, so no Dragon and no ETC for Church of Murky. An unfortunate twist there, as it looked like they were going to pick up an early Dragon Knight. Imperius back on the case in the top lane versus Sudden Bears. John Goodman looking to create space, but Redbeard is here for the interrupts, but possibly not for long. Wrecked is on the chase, does manage to find the stun. There's the throw onto Jaina. But Gully looking for the sleep onto John Goodman, but it goes wide, and there's one more kill for I Must Feed. Oh, the biotic grenade not quite in time there from Bagully, and the Dragon Knight picked up by I Must Feed. Heading to the bottom lane here. You can definitely stack up some camps in this bottom lane. Definitely a stronger lane here on Dragonshire. The top lane very much not the lane to be pushing down due to those bridges of death on both sides of the map. Orion getting thrown back by Garrosh. There's a nice follow-up stun, and there's the kill. Greymane taken down on this defense. Looks like this bottom fort will be going down here. Top lane, Imperius and Uther still battling it out, still trying to get XP for their teams. Wrecked 3 away from that Warbreaker quest. Jaina still has a long way to go on the Frostbite quest. Kael'thas needs 4 more globes. ETC needs 13 more globes. Jaina 14, so I Must Feed has been doing a great job with the globe control here on Dragonshire. Shock moving around the edges, looking for a possible engage. Oh, doesn't quite get the slide there onto Wrecked. There's the extra follow-up damage. Still a lot to get done there versus the Garrosh. Orion getting a bit of damage onto Tychus, but having to back off as Garrosh was ready for the combo. Meanwhile, in the top lane, J-Show is actually taking a little bit of extra damage there, as Uther did finish up that Hammer of the Lightbringer quest, which brings extra hammers and increases that mana return. Definitely making Uther into a bit more of a standard solo laner. Bruiser Camp picked up by I Must Feed. Looking for a possible rotation onto J-Show in the top lane. Here comes Wrecked. Sudden Bears looking to bait backwards a little bit. Wrecked is actually showing in lane here, looks like. Not actually in the bush. There we go. As I Must Feed is going to grab the siege camp, as actually the bottom hard camp is taken away by Church of Murky. Nice, very nice pickup there, though without level 10s, this could be a very difficult engage. Unless they get on out of there. No fort to retreat to. Wrecked is maintaining position. Level 10 still not here for Church of Murky. There is the big taunt. There's the follow-up stun. Shock. Oh, has the Pyroblast on the chase. Bagully doing their best to get them healed up enough. There's the armor. Oh, and it's just enough for the kill. ETC going down as the shrines are activating. This hard camp is going to be very, very difficult for Imperius to deal with here. As Imperius' wave clear is very, very poor. Jaina going to come on up to try to help out with that. Level 10s are here for Church of Murky. I Must Be looking for a possible invade onto this hard camp. Here they come. Redbeard is in a lot of trouble here. Going to move towards this top fort. Evade for now, but now Imperius is in trouble. There's the Angelic Armaments. For now, there's the big stun from Uther. Redbeard's safe for now. There's the Ring of Frost actually catching Uther. Here comes the rest of the squad. 3 caught in the mosh pit. Light Bomb is out for the interrupt. Wrecked with the big taunt in the middle. There's Jaina going to be going down there. Wrecked still very, very healthy. Healing up with those W's and that Uther extra healing. That's 2 more kills for I Must Feed. And that level disparity is really starting to show itself here, the scaling Very difficult to get kills with that 2-level lead scaling. Shock looking to possibly slide onto John Goodman. Looks like they want to control this top shrine. Not let another Dragon Knight go over to I Must Feed so easily. Orion clearing up that bottom lane. Jay-Sho warding away here. Looking for a possible engage. Sudden Bears, very nice scout. Finding Imperius in that top bush. Shock looking for a counter engage from I Must Feed, possibly coming up from the bottom lane, but a counter push from I Must Feed. Rekt coming around the outside, is spotted by Redbeard, is going to hightail it on out of there. Shock in a bit of trouble here, though. On the wrong side of Rekt, will slide on out of there, and the throw will not be possible. Tychus, seeing the engage wasn't happening, going to come around the safe side. Right now, Orion is stuck in the bottom lane trying to get XP for the team. Level 13 is here for I Must Feed, and only level 11 for Church of Murky. This is going to be a tough fight. Ring of Frost is out, whiffing. And now the chase is on. Light Bomb not hitting anybody. A great counter engage, and Garrosh is going to go down. This could be the opening the Church of Murky needs. There's the big stun from Uther. ETC will be the first to fall. Jay-Sho is going to try to retreat here. Get away from Sudden Bears and Night Knight. There's the Pyroblast onto Greymane. A great counter engage onto Garrosh, but ultimately could not convert that into extra kills. 2 kills, and the Dragon Knight going over to I Must Feed. And they're going to be pushing down this middle lane. Sudden Bears is actually on the chase here. Jay-Sho is going to have to be a little bit careful. Those extra autos and stuns coming out from Uther can be lethal in the wrong situations.
Red team has destroyed a fort.
Still a very healthy, very timely Dragon Knight. Still 45 seconds left. Is going to be pushing down this keep wall. Shock is booted in the wrong way. Or the wrong way for Shock, I should say, by I Must Feed. Getting kicked behind the team. Back on the field here, looking for any chance to split them off. Orion getting a bunch of extra damage onto this Dragon Knight is kicked away by John Goodman.
Red team has destroyed a fort.
Shock keeping Garrosh occupied as Redbeard picks up the sustained damage. A very brief 3-level lead here for I Must Feed. 15 to 13 now. If there was ever a time to fight for Church of Murky, it would be now. Dragon Knight expiring in 4 seconds. Jay-Sho trying to bait this dragon. John Goodman falling out of the Dragon Knight. Church of Murky not taking the chance. Looks like they want to possibly bait this camp. Ooh, I Must Feed. Sniffs it out. Rekt is on the wrong side here, though. A toss and stun. Here's the counter engage, and the fight is on. Orion taking out that Dragon Laser Drill very quickly. Greymane rolling away is going to be safe for now. The taunt is out onto Orion, getting caught by the Light Bomb as well. Jay-Sho, hit by the Pyroblast, was still alive. Shock taking care of the damage in the back. Imperius is going to go down, but so is Uther. 4v4 for now, but Shock may be in trouble here. Ring of Frost catches 3, but Redbeard taking a lot of extra damage. Whew. Will manage to get on out of there. 2 kills to 1, though, for I Must Feed. They're going to be pushing through the bottom lane. Bagully managing to avoid Rekt for now. Oh, popping the Unstoppable, but not getting right into throw range. Ana will manage to survive. Now taking the opportunity to invade this camp is I Must Feed. Ooh, a nice sleep dart there by Bagully. Redbeard was in the sights of Rekt, but a nice save there from the Ana player. Kind of a big wave down here in the bottom lane. I Must Feed is looking to add to that wave with this bottom hard camp. Church of Murky, realizing where they must be, is going to take the hard camp on their side of the map, while Imperius keeps this top lane in check. Well, this bottom keep wall is in a lot of trouble here. Shock on ETC trying to save as much as possible. Only 1 cannon tower remaining. I Must Feed is continuing this bottom lane pressure, picking up the 3rd camp to layer on this bottom lane. Shrine's coming up here in about 10 seconds. Top lane is taken back by Church of Murky, so they will have access over there. This bottom lane is going to take a lot of extra clear, though, if they want access to this bottom shrine.
Dragon Knight's power is yours.
Hard camp picked up by I Must Feed. Imperius currently showing in the mid lane. Here comes a hard engage by I Must Feed. Are they coming all the way around the outside? Jay-Sho not quite sure where to go. John Goodman with the dismount. J-Show uses the Impale to try to get away. Here comes Shock. The Draken Laser Drill is out in a triple sleep by Anna. Shock is going in. There is the Mosh. The Divine Hurricane not quite there for the interrupt. Oh my gosh, no one died! There it is. Garrosh is going to be going down here. And there we go. Anduin down. Uther down. Jaina and ETC will go down in response. Tychus very, very low. Oh, getting saved by the ghost of Uther. Wow, Church of Murky with a great wombo combo engage. Got all the members very, very low, but they all lurched back to life before 3 of them went down. Very nicely done. Catching up on that hero kill. XP minions still very even. Mercenaries still very even. But it's that passive XP from those early structures that is really keeping I Must Feed ahead in the experience game. J-Show was trying to move there onto Listerfiend under that aura of spell power. So Listerfiend's still quite healthy, but J-Show now being chased down by Tychus and Kael'thas. Looking for the counter engage here. Listerfiend could be in a lot of trouble popping that arcane barrier. I'm not sure they have enough damage to take our Imperious down. There goes Kael'thas. And John Goodman with the trait will eventually take out the Imperious in a trade. Hey, stop fighting. Goodness me. Cats are trying to kill each other. Sorry about that, folks. Dragon Knight pushing down the bottom lane for Church of Murky. They did manage to pick up the objective during the action there in the top lane. Trying to get as much work down here in the bottom lane as possible. Looks like this fort will absolutely be going down. The Rekt is trying to ward away the rest of Church of Murky. Shock is here. Imperious still not on the field. Kael'thas not on the field, though, for I Must Feed. Dragon Knight wanting to pick up some extra minions if possible, but still very behind the pack is that wave. And only less than 30 seconds on this Dragon Knight. They're going to have to possibly commit or back off. John Goodman taken out here. Now Anna is going to move onto this fort, and the counter engage is there for I Must Feed. A big taunt there onto Greymane and a follow-up stun. Greymane's going to go down. 2 are caught inside the mosh pit. Sudden Bears is pulled on out of there. Rekt is in a lot of trouble. Garrosh going down. Greymane went down earlier. It's still a 4v4 as we see Listerfiend back on the field. J-Show catches one. The big sleep. John Goodman taking a lot of damage from that blizzard. As we see Ice Block was finished by Redbeard. It's going to be very helpful in these fights. They're just trying to poke down this fort. There it goes. Redbeard. Ooh, that's a lot of extra damage from that Kael'thas taken. It looks like Church of Murky will have to get on out of there. These engages are starting to go more and more towards the side of Church of Murky. Very nicely done here in the late game. The level 20 is about to come online. J-Show going straight in. That could be trouble. The extra stuns there. There's the Pyroblast. Oh, with just enough armor. Oh, but wanders into fort range. Still managing to stay alive is Imperious. Very nicely done. Is going to back to replenish those health stores. Orion in the back trying to fix up this mid lane as the rest of Church of Murky is going to grab this siege camp. Sudden Bears is checking this bottom camp to see where Church of Murky is. And with that camp taken, I Must Feed is going to move onto this siege camp, or this bruiser camp, I should say. On their own bruiser camp is Church of Murky. They're going to pick that up. I Must Feed grabbing the camp in the bottom lane. Looking at a possible invade here by Church of Murky. Level 20 is not on their side just yet. And here they go. They see I Must Feed in the bottom lane, and they're going to go ahead and grab this bruiser camp right under their noses. A nice little snipe there from Church of Murky. Redbeard's oh no, backing on their side of the field. The stun onto Imperious. There's the light bomb. So many stuns, and there goes J-Show. Possible miscalculation on where I Must Feed was at. Half of them mounted, half of them tried to back. Imperious is going to go down. Redbeard, oh, in a lot of trouble here. Rekt gets the throw and the stun. And there goes Jaina. 2 kills for I Must Feed. Orion gets dismounted, but Gully working on getting away. The shrine is up. Both of these camps are going to be pushing down the top lane. Well, I get the feeling I Must Feed isn't going to be too concerned about that. Church of Murky trying to clear out this bottom lane before the inevitable Dragon Knight comes barreling down the bottom lane here. Sudden Bears is going to go ahead and grab that. Tychus working on this top lane clear. The rest of I Must Feed going to meet that Dragon Knight. Are they going to push mid? Or are they going to push bot? What's the plan? What's the plan? Where are you going, Sudden Bears? What's the plan, buddy? We're going bot. We're going mid. We're going bot. We're going mid. It's going to be bot. Here they come. Alright. Dragon Knight's going bottom lane. Church of Murky equally trying to figure out where this dragon's going to be coming. It looks like it will be bottom lane. Top lane mostly clearing itself out there. Great clear there by Tychus and John Goodman. He is back with the team. And now a full push onto this bottom keep. Shock kicked away. The keep is trained on the Dragon Knight. Indomitable from Garrosh has been used. The throw onto Orion could be some trouble. There's a big taunt onto Greymane. The kick. Ooh, is that going to be enough? Is Orion going to get away? Ooh, does manage to get out of there with the help of Ana. The bottom keep is down. The well is down, and it looks like... are they going to commit to more? Dragon Knight's still very healthy. 24 seconds left on it. It looks like they may be pushing onto core here. There's a nice kick of the tank away. Counter stun there onto Garrosh. Garrosh could be in a lot of trouble here, actually. Shock coming back into the field. Draken Laser Drill is out. Tychus has been caught by the Ring of Frost, saved by Anduin, though. An extra stun there onto Sudden Bears as they fall out of the Dragon Knight, and there goes Uther. Uther will be back on the field shortly, though. Redbeard is tossed in by Garrosh. A lot of extra damage from the Fire Mage. Sudden Bears could be in trouble here. And looks like Uther will now be dead for good. John Goodman trying to scoot on out of there. Tychus with that extra movement speed, but Shock is on the chase, and Pale does not land. A nice throw there by Garrosh, getting those extra stuns. Light Bomb counter engage. Orion could be in trouble here. Ice Block used by Redbeard to stay alive. It looks like Shock may not be so lucky. The Death Mosh catches one. Tychus will be going down here. Then this fight continues. It's a 4v3 now for Church of Murky. What will they do with this time? Looks like they're going to go ahead and grab the siege camp on their side of the map. Top lane has evened itself out. Mid lane a little bit pushed out. Redbeard is going to go ahead and deal with that. I Must Feed, just getting back, getting healthy, not wanting to get picked off here at the post 20-minute mark on Dragonshire. Blister Fiend looking to poke in here, does manage to hit the stun, and Orion taking a little bit of extra damage. This could be trouble here for Church of Murky. Wrecked is here, there's the Pyroblast, but Gully is going to have to try to keep that Greymane alive as the fight goes on. Greymane survives. Wrecked may not. Jaysho avoiding that Groundbreaker. And a nice defense there from I Must Feed. Nicely done on the 3v4. Listerfiend getting a lot of damage over that wall, almost getting Orion a couple times there. Shrines are activating. All members from both teams are back on the field. Looks like Church of Murky is going to grab their Bruiser camp, possibly move on to the top shrine. I Must Feed is going to be focusing on the bottom Bruiser camp and picking up the bottom shrine. Shock picking up the top. Bottom taken away by I Must Feed. This bottom lane is going to be pushing very, very hard into the core of Church of Murky. They're going to have to spend a lot of resources clearing this out. I Must Feed is going to be ready for it. Here they come. Here comes the possible engage. I Must Feed is going to move on to this. They're going to try to take advantage of that spell shield from this Bruiser camp. Not letting this clear go for free. But that extra splash damage from Greymane clears this wave very, very effectively. Bottom, or top lane, is being pushed out by the hard camp of Church of Murky, so it will be a little bit more difficult for I Must Feed to move onto that top shrine safely. It looks like the action will be on the bottom shrine here. Church of Murky in a bit of an advantageous position here. Looking for a possible counter engage. I Must Feed once again taking the point back. Shock looking for any opportunity to go in. Wrecked not quite landing that Warbreaker. Indomitable is popped, but Garrosh taking a lot of damage in the backline. Taunts the ETC. There's the Ring of Frost out as well. Uther's going to go down first, but Uther will be returning to the battlefield. ETC taking a ton of damage here. Don't forget that Death Mosh catching one. Kael'thas is going to go down here. Uther has resurrected. Orion going straight on to Sudden Bears. That extra Uther armor will allow them to survive. It's a 1-for-1 trade. It's the Kael'thas for the ETC. A nice pickup there by Jaysho. Rekt is actually taking a lot of extra damage here. Garrosh in trouble. Garrosh is going to go down. Redbeard using the Ice Blink to get away from John Goodman. And Uther goes down for a second time in this fight. It's 3 kills for Church of Murky. Jaysho on the chase. Dragon Knight is going to be picked up here by Church of Murky, but with no open keep, this may not be the automatic game-ending push that they need. Redbeard trying to get away from that catapult a little bit. Jaina going to go ahead and grab that, and almost certainly will be heading down to the bottom lane to get this keep and as much extra as possible. But without their main tank, they do have that Imperious front line. We'll see what they can make of this. Kael'thas will be back on the field for this defense. We've got a very healthy, very damaging Dragon Knight here. But I'm not sure this is going to be enough for core. This will almost certainly be enough for keep. As we see Shock re-enter the battlefield. Garrosh and Uther are still down. That's a lot of poke damage from this Kael'thas and this Tychus. The keep's going to go down here. Is Church of Murky going to advance onto the core? It looks like they were thinking about it. They want to wait for Shock, but they don't want to wait too long, as this Dragon Knight will expire and will eventually get poked out. A double throw and stun. There's the taunt. There's the light bomb from I Must Feed. Another throw. That's Greymane. That's Imperious down. I don't think the Dragon Knight's got enough damage to get through this core. Shielding is gone. Ana being chased out. Nice sleep dart onto this Tychus. Jaina trying their best, gets this core to about half health, but Redbeard will be blown up here. There is the root. 34%. And with 3 dead, I Must Feed is going to be surging up the battlefield. They've got mid lane open, they've got bottom lane open, and they've got a 3-player advantage. I think this is going to be it. Here comes John Goodman. They're looking to clear out this mid lane and clear their path to victory. It's just Bagully and Shock back on this battlefield. Core being focused. Shock comboed there by Rekt. There's the nano boost. The damage onto the core looks like it's going to be just too much. The Mosh only catching one, immediately interrupted. Another slide there onto the members of I Must Feed, but the core down below 30%. Members of Church of Murky are back on the field, but it's going to be too late. 2-0 victory for I Must Feed. GG. All right, a much closer game there. Church of Murky making it very interesting at the end there with a lot of great counter engages and great counter kills, killing Uther a myriad of times there towards the end of the game. But ultimately, they were just a little bit too weak, just a little bit too behind in lanes to get that final Dragon Knight push onto the core. 34% onto the core of I Must Feed before going down, and it is I Must Feed with the 2-0 victory in this series. Tychus coming out on top with in pretty much everything. 161,000 siege damage, 100,000 hero damage, top on the XP. John Goodman really carrying the way there for I Must Feed. Orion on Greymane, similar kind of story there on the side of Church of Murky. 170,000 on the siege, 77,000 on the hero damage, and getting close to that 20,000 mark on the XP. Very nicely done from our two teams here. All right, well, let me see if I can find an interview for you from I Must Feed. See if I can go ahead and grab somebody there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I am Sudden Bears.
Sudden Bears. All right, I was looking at your Discord name and I was trying to match it up. Bears. Sudden Bears, congratulations on your 2-0 victory tonight.
Thank you. Man, Church of Murky, it was a great time playing against you. I think that might be the only series we've ever won, and it wasn't even in where it counts. So it's unfortunate for us, but excellent game to you guys.
Very nicely executed there by I Must Feed. First game, we had a couple of connection issues, unfortunately, but ultimately a very, very strong performance coming out there on Infernal Shrines. Now, that looked like a very practiced strategy, especially in the interrupting of rotations by you guys there. Is that something that you're normally looking to do there on Infernal Shrines?
I think we've just been practicing more with making sure we have someone who can double soak if it's available, and then the interruption for ganks and everything like that.
Very nicely executed for sure there. We saw in game number 2, we saw some heroes definitely changing hands. You saw the Imperius heading over to Church of Murky, not being able to pick that up, but we saw the Uther off lane from you, actually. So talk to me a little bit about how Uther sort of evolves in that solo lane matchup as the talents come through.
You know, this is the first time I've played with one talent build, thanks to the suggestion of our coach, with the level 4 CDR and mana reduction or refund on his Q. So how it evolves, I'm not quite sure, but we've tried it a few times with Uther in the offlane to mixed success. And I kind of just picked it on my team last minute because I wanted to try it. They were very, they didn't immediately quit the game on me, so.
We definitely saw a bit of a dearth of wave clear, especially on those hard camps in the top lane. Both teams having to commit some resources to go ahead and help out with that. But it was a closer matchup than I expected for sure, and I think ultimately finishing off that level 1 quest is where I really saw the tide starting to turn in that top lane. Is that sort of how you felt up there?
I think once the 1, 4, and 7 talents came in, then I think you in the level 10 alt, I think you're able to pressure out a solo laner more with the threat of having a lot of stuns and a lot of self heals. But really, they had a really excellent as a nail biter. So I don't really think it was too much up to the top lane late game. It was really more their comp being very, very scary, especially with the Shocks. I think Shock was the ETC player.
Yes.
Shock's moshes. So I think those had a lot more impact than my solo lane game, definitely. So good job to the Church of Murky. That was terrifying at the very end.
Yep, very nicely done there. They were turning things around in the end, ultimately. Just a little bit, not quite enough firepower to get down that core. I think it was at 34% by the time the shield started to regenerate, able to charge back down the field. But 2-0 victory, very nicely done. If I take a quick look at the schedule, I'm not sure who you're facing next.
Might be Nexus Cats.
Let me go ahead and take a look here. Schedule. Where is it? I actually don't, Oh, I've got you up against Regen Ghost.
Oh, okay.
On Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, Nexus Cats next week, Regen Ghost on Thursday. I think Regen Ghost, have they been defeated so far? I'm not sure that they have.
To be honest, I have not been following the standings, so I would not know.
Definitely a very interesting opponent coming up for you on Thursday. I think this is your first... I'm not sure you've played them so far in the rotation, so that'll definitely be a new matchup for you guys. Looking forward to seeing how that one goes for sure.
I think we are as well.
All right, well, before we close things out, any shout-outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, I'd like to make a shout-out to Church of Murky for another excellent series. Shout-out to you for casting, and shout-out to, of course, my team for pulling off a very heartwarming victory. It feels good to have a win finally against Church of Murky. Something we've been working really hard towards. So, great job, guys. It feels excellent.
Fantastic stuff. All right, have a good evening and good luck going forward.
You as well. Goodbye.
Bye.